Tangled in Tuscany. Chapter 7. The X Factor. The next morning bloomed with deceptive calm. The air smelled of rosemary and wet stone. The vineyard leaves glistening under a fresh coat of dew from the night's brief rain. Sophia sat on the stone wall outside the kitchen with her camera balanced on her knees, capturing lazy frames of the sun slicing between vines like golden ribbons. From inside came the sound of Alessia humming over a pan of sizzling eggs, and the low thud of Chiara chopping something firm and fragrant, probably fennel. It was the rhythm of a place that had found its routine again, but Sophia hadn't. Not quite. Something about last night's conversation with Luca clung to her like wood smoke. The way he'd pulled back, the vulnerability in his voice, the quiet praise hidden in his words. "You're not like anyone else I've met." It had stirred something soft in her chest, something she wasn't ready to name. She raised her camera again, capturing the light as it kissed a cluster of nearly ripe grapes. Footsteps approached behind her. "Don't move," she said without turning. "You'll ruin the light." A beat of silence. Then a voice, too familiar, too smooth, answered, "I never did take direction well." Sophia froze. Slowly, she lowered the camera and turned. There he stood, impossibly out of place. Nathan Bell, wearing a linen blazer, designer sunglasses hanging from the collar of his shirt, and a sheepish smile that used to make her forgive him too easily. Her ex-fiancé. Her mistake. Nathan. Her voice cracked like dry earth. He spread his arms with that old, effortless charm. Surprise. Her stomach turned. "What the hell are you doing here?" "I'm in Europe for a client shoot. Rome, mostly. I had a few days free and well. I heard through mutual channels that you were here. Thought I'd come see how you're doing." Her eyes narrowed. "You drove across Tuscany to check on me." He smiled. "Come on, Soph. You ghosted me. Vanished off the face of the planet. You think I wouldn't be curious. You cheated on me." He flinched, just slightly. "We had a rough patch. It didn't mean I stopped loving you." Sophia stepped back, her spine stiff. Don't rewrite it." "Okay," Nathan said quickly, hands raised. "I'm not here to fight. I just want to talk. Maybe get a coffee. Catch up." "You want to catch up now?" He had the grace to look unsure. "You look good. Tuscany suits you." Sophia glanced toward the main house, heart thudding in a dull rhythm. "This is a private vineyard. You can't just show up." "I called ahead. Alessia said you were staying here. She sounded thrilled when I told her we used to be." "You told her?" Her voice rose. "Oh, perfect. That's just..." Behind her, a second pair of footsteps cut across the gravel. She turned just as Luca stepped out from around the corner, stopping short when he saw them. Sophia saw the shift instantly. The tensing jaw, the cool, assessing look, the barely perceptible way his eyes flicked from her face to Nathan's. Luca walked forward slowly. "Everything all right here?" Sophia opened her mouth to speak, but Nathan jumped in first. "Hi, I'm Nathan Bell," he said, extending a hand. "I'm Sophia's ex," she said firmly. Nathan's mouth twitched, but he nodded. "Yes, that." Luca didn't take his hand. He looked at Sophia instead. "Want me to call Alessia?" "No," she said quickly. "I've got it." Nathan chuckled. "You didn't mention you had vineyard security now." "She doesn't?" Luca said, eyes flat. "But she has friends." Sophia's throat tightened. Nathan slipped his hands into his pockets. "Look, I just came to talk. That's all. If it's a bad time, I can come back later." "It's never going to be a good time," Sophia said, regaining her edge. "But you're here, so talk." "I didn't fly all this way for a 5-minute sidewalk chat," he said softly. "Can we walk? Just a few minutes, Soph, please." Sophia hesitated. Luca didn't move. Finally, she looked at him. "It's fine. I'll be back soon." Luca nodded once, but his expression didn't shift. She turned and began walking down the garden path. Nathan followed. They walked in silence for a minute, past the herb garden, past the low stone fence where rosemary and lavender burst through the cracks. Sophia felt his presence like static, too close, Too easy to fall back into old patterns. I was surprised to find you here, Nathan said at last. That was the point. I mean it, he said. This place, it's not you. You hate humidity. You hate dirt. You own 4 pairs of heels that have never touched grass. I'm evolving. He glanced at her sideways. Or hiding. Sophia stopped walking. What do you want, Nathan? He looked wounded. You know, I actually missed you. You missed me? She echoed. Before or after you started sleeping with someone who gave you sun salutation advice during pillow talk. And Nathan winced. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Can't it be both? No, she said simply. Not anymore. And Nathan sighed. Look, I didn't come here to fix anything. I know I can't. But I needed to see you. Because ever since you left, I've felt like something cracked open, and I didn't know how deep the break really went. Sophia folded her arms. So you came here to make you feel better. I came here because you were my home, he said. And I think part of me hoped that maybe, deep down, I still was yours. Sophia looked away, and thought of Luca, the firelight on his face, the way he'd stood at her side when she was hurt, the way he looked at her like she was real. Not convenient. No, she said softly. You were just a place I stayed too long. And Nathan blinked. She didn't let the silence linger. You should go. He hesitated. Will you at least consider dinner? She shook her head. Tuscany is good for growing things. But not that. He didn't argue. He just nodded, turned, and walked back toward the house with slower steps than he'd arrived. Sophia stayed behind. She stared out over the hills for a while, letting the wind slide past her and carry the final words between them away. Her chest ached, not with regret, but with the strange clarity that comes from finally choosing to let go. When she finally turned back, Luca was still near the courtyard, arms folded, watching the path. He didn't say anything as she approached, so she said it for both of them. He's gone. Luca gave a slight nod. Didn't go well. It went exactly how it should have, she replied. He just doesn't know it yet. They stood in silence. Then Luca asked, You all right? Sophia hesitated, then nodded. Getting there. You didn't have to explain anything to me. I know, but I wanted to. His eyes met hers, and this time, she didn't look away. Sophia didn't go straight back to her guest house. Instead, she wandered along the edge of the vineyard, following the low path between rows of cypress trees, until she reached a clearing shaded by fig and walnut trees, the same spot where she and Luca had sat with wine after the rain. Her steps were slower now, not because of her ankle, though it still ached faintly, but because of something else. Something heavier. The emotional pull of a door finally closed. Nathan's visit hadn't reopened wounds. Not exactly. But it had reminded her that she hadn't quite finished stitching them closed, either. He'd been her almost life, her almost family, her almost forever, almost had never felt so distant. She sat on the old stone bench and looked out at the vines, stretching into the gold of late afternoon. It should have felt peaceful. Instead, it felt unsettled. By the time she made it back to the main house, the sun had dipped behind the hills and dinner prep had already begun in the kitchen. The smell of roasted garlic and grilled vegetables lingered in the air, comforting and alive. Sophia slipped into the back door quietly, unsure whether she wanted company or solitude. Alessia spotted her first. Kara, she said gently. He's gone. Sophia nodded. I didn't realize you two had history. He was very polite when he called. I assumed he was a colleague. He's a part of my past. That's all. Alessia offered her a soft smile. The past always tries to visit. It's what you do with it that counts. I told him no. Again. Good, Alessia said, setting down a bundle of rosemary. Then you're still facing forward. Sophia helped set the table in silence, the familiar motions grounding her. Plates, cutlery, wine glasses. Alessia hummed softly as she stirred a pot of something on the stove. The clatter and comfort of kitchen work dulled the edge in Sophia's chest. It wasn't until Luca walked in, boots slightly dusty, shirt sleeves rolled to the elbow, that her breath hitched unexpectedly. He didn't look at her at first, just grabbed a glass of water, drank deeply, then leaned against the counter. But there was something in the set of his shoulders, the quiet tension of someone waiting for words he didn't want to ask for. Sophia cleared her throat. Thanks for stepping in earlier. When Nathan arrived, Luca nodded once. Didn't like how he spoke to you. I didn't like how he spoke to me either. This time, he met her eyes. You okay? I think I expected it to hurt more, she said honestly. But mostly, I just felt tired. Tired of old versions of myself. Tired of pretending that chapter was still unfinished. Luca studied her, as if weighing her words for what she didn't say. Closure is a strange thing, he said after a moment. Sometimes you get it. Sometimes you make it yourself. Sophia gave a faint smile. And sometimes it shows up at your door in a blazer and leaves smelling like cologne and regret. Luca huffed. Maybe a laugh, maybe just exasperation. But the corner of his mouth lifted, and that was enough. They stood in silence for another breath. Then Alessia clapped her hands. Dinner. Both of you. No brooding, just food. The table that night was fuller than usual. A few neighbors had stopped by, including a cousin of Alessia's who spoke in rapid Tuscan dialect and brought enough bread to feed an army. Conversation bounced between languages, and the wine flowed without tension. Sophia sat across from Luca again. She noticed things now. How he always passed the water before it was asked for. How he refilled Alessia's wine glass without interrupting her story. How he never started eating until everyone else had their plates. She caught him watching her once, after she laughed too hard at something Chiara said. He didn't look away, and neither did she. After dinner, as the others lingered at the table with wine and candlelight, Luca stood and slipped away from the group. Sophia followed 5 minutes later, the weight of her curiosity heavier than the full glass she left behind. She found him by the small stable near the lower fields, leaning against the fence with his sleeves now unrolled, hands tucked into his pockets. He didn't turn when she approached, but he spoke. You told me about Nathan, but I didn't know it was that serious. Sophia stopped beside him. I didn't think it mattered. It doesn't, he said quickly. I just didn't expect him. Neither did I. A breeze kicked up, stirring the leaves above. Why'd you say no? He asked. To Nathan. She shrugged. Because I'd finally learned what settling felt like. It's a soft kind of suffocation. Luca nodded, slow and quiet. Have you ever? She asked, then caught herself. Sorry, that's too personal. He was quiet for a moment. Then, once, a long time ago, she looked at him. What happened? She loved the vineyard. But not the man tied to it. Sophia's chest ached. That's not your fault. It didn't feel like hers either. They stood in silence for a long time. Then Luca turned to her, eyes steady. I meant what I said last night. About you not being like anyone I've met. Sophia's breath caught. Is that still confusing? He didn't smile. It's starting to make sense. She took a small step closer. Their eyes held, long, too long. A single heartbeat stretched wide enough to hold 1,000 words neither of them were brave enough to say yet. Then Luca stepped back, not coldly, but carefully. You should get some rest. Sophia nodded. You too. He turned and disappeared into the shadows between the buildings. And though she stood alone under the darkening sky, Sophia didn't feel alone. Not at all.